Today we will look back through history to find out who are the greatest military commanders of all time. All of them passed away, but the legends they left behind are hard to forget. Let's rock and roll. 10. George Washington, United States of America. George Washington was one of the founding fathers of the United States of America and served as the nation's first president, 1789 to 1797. He commanded Patriot forces in the new nation's vital American Revolutionary War and led them to victory over the British and their allies. Washington also presided at the Constitutional Convention of 1787, which established the new federal government, and for his manifold leadership he has been called the father of his country. 9. Nguyen Hue, Vietnam. Nguyen Hue or King Quang Trung was a very talented in war strategies and tactics. He moved 50,000 soldiers from Hue to Thang Long, more than 600 kilometers apart, on foot just in 3 days in the year of late 1780. He defeated Chinese Tang's army with 200,000 soldiers in 1 day and had pushed them back a few hundreds of km into Chinese land before freely moving back to the border of Vietnam and China. Later, he defeated Thai's invasive army of 50,000 soldiers also in a few hours in another occasion. Years later, when the French came to support his opponent Nguyen Hue, King Quang Trung defeated French's navy without using any warship. He never lost one battle in his whole life. If he had not died at young age of 32, the Chinese land would have been shrunk dramatically. 8. Hannibal Barca, Carthage. Hannibal Barca was a northeast African Carthaginian general, lived during a period of great tension in the western Mediterranean basin, when the Roman Republic established its supremacy over other great powers such as ancient Carthage. One of his most famous achievements was at the outbreak of the Second Punic War, when he marched an army which included war elephants from Iberia over the Pyrenees and the Alps into Italy. He distinguished himself for his ability to determine his and his opponent's respective strengths and weaknesses, and to plan battles accordingly. Hannibal's well-planned strategies allowed him to conquer many allies of Rome. 7. Julius Caesar, Roman Republic. Gaius Julius Caesar, often referred to as Julius Caesar, or simply Caesar, was born in 100 BC. Together with Pompeius and Marcus Licinius Crassus, he was part of the first triumvirate. A brilliant general who inspired his men, Caesar conquered Gaul, won the civil war, and instituted various civil and social reforms at Rome and the establishment of the Roman emperors. Very few generals can boast having won so many pitched battles at such damning odds. He was a brilliant tactician, able to make effective use of his troops to achieve various and often unorthodox tactical advantages. 6. Nguyen Hue, Vietnam. Nguyen Hue was the commander-in-chief of the Vietnamese People's Army. He was originally a history teacher turned to politician and later a soldier. He, who had deep understanding of military strategy, but never went to any military academy. He proved himself to be one of the most prominent generals of all time. Without him, Vietnam couldn't defeat French colonial and America with a very poorly equipped army. He used rifles and grenades to fight tanks, fighters, gunships. When he took control, there was only 34 members in his army, unlike the other generals command an already strong army. 6. Napoléon Bonaparte, France. Napoléon Bonaparte was a French statesman and military leader who rose to prominence during the French Revolution and led several successful campaigns during the French Revolutionary Wars. He was Emperor of the French from 1804 until 1814 and again briefly in 1815 during the 100 Days. Napoleon dominated European and global affairs for more than a decade while leading France against a series of coalitions in the Napoleonic Wars. He won most of these wars and the vast majority of his battles, building a large empire that ruled over continental Europe before its final collapse in 1815. He is considered one of the greatest commanders in history, and his wars and campaigns are studied at military schools worldwide. 4. Genghis Khan, Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan, born Temujin, was the founder and great Khan of the Mongol Empire, which became the largest contiguous empire in history after his death. It pretty much covered almost all of Asia and some parts of Eastern Europe. Genghis managed to go from nothing to leader of a few outcasts like himself, to leader of a clan, to leader of his former clan and others, etc. until he managed to fully unite the entirety of the Mongol steppes. This in itself was an amazing achievement. The Mongols pretty much killed anyone who got in their way and nobody could have stopped them. His men were loyal, he had superior tactics, and he was never replaced as the head of the Mongol army. The only way Genghis was truly defeated was the death from sickness. 3. Tran Hung Dao, Vietnam. Tran Hung Dao, also known as Grand Prince Hung Dao, was an imperial prince, statesman, and military commander of Great Viet during the Tran dynasty. He commanded the Great Viet armies that repelled 3 major Mongol invasions in the 13th century. His multiple victories over the Yuan dynasty under Kublai Khan are considered among the greatest military feats in Vietnamese history. The Mongol forces were successful on land, but they struggled heavily with heat and disease. In addition to these factors, inexperience at naval warfare in 1287 rendered them incapable of occupying the country for good. Furthermore, General Tran Hung Dao's military prowess has been reflected in many warfare treatises that he authored. 2. David IV, Georgia. David IV, also known as David the Builder, of the Bagrationi dynasty, was a king of Georgia from 1089 until his death in 1125. Popularly considered to be the greatest and most successful Georgian ruler in history and an original architect of the Georgian Golden Age, he succeeded in driving the Seljuk Turks out of the country, winning the major battle of Djori in 1121. His reforms of the army and administration enabled him to reunite the country and bring most of the lands of the Caucasus under Georgia's control. And number 1. Alexander the Great, Macedon. Alexander III of Macedon, commonly known as Alexander the Great, was a king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedon and a member of the Arjad dynasty. He spent most of his ruling years on an unprecedented military campaign through Asia and Northeast Africa, and he created one of the largest empires of the ancient world by the age of 30, stretching from Greece to northwestern India. He was undefeated in battle and is widely considered one of history's most successful military commanders. In 334 BC, he invaded the Achaemenid Empire, Persian Empire, and began a series of campaigns that lasted 10 years. He subsequently overthrew Persian King Darius III and conquered the Achaemenid Empire in its entirety. At that point, his empire stretched from the Adriatic Sea to the Indus River. Please like and subscribe button below. Or click the bell symbol to be alerted of new video every day from Top 5. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe button below. Or click the bell symbol to be alerted of new video every day from Top 5. Thank you for watching.